Hi, y'all. I'm Obscure Girl. I like movies. I like weird movies. I like weird, trippy, obscure movies that I feel like no one has seen or is talking about. Whether that be because they're just old, or the marketing was bad, or you're like, I think that was a fever dream I had when I was 5. I'm here to tell you, it wasn't. Let's talk about it. And the month of April, I am really leaning into the I think that was a fever dream I had when I was 5 category, because I really want to talk about a lot of those 90s, late 80s cartoons that just went kind of under the radar. And today you're just like, was that real? And today I want to talk about We're Back, a Dinosaur Story.
We're Back, a Dinosaur Story.
Where is Central Park?
The voice acting in this movie is all over the place. You've got John Goodman, Martin Short, Walter Cronkite. You have Rhea Perlman in a role that you would never know was her, and she's in it for maybe 2 seconds of the thing. And I'm just like, okay, wow. You also even have Jay Leno as a voice that you would never know was his. But this is a pretty trippy, cool movie. It's only like 70 minutes long. It is barely over an hour. It's to the point, and it's cute and adorable. And if you like dinosaurs and you like trippy stuff, and if you like, like me, some of the creepy things, then I think this would be for you if you had not seen it yet. If not, show the kids. I don't know. It's a cartoon. This came out in 1993, and again has voice actors like John Goodman, who is the star Rex. And the non-spoiler premise is an inventor comes from the future to bring dinosaurs to the modern age, giving them a cereal he invented called Brain Grain that makes them smarter. And he wants to take the dinosaurs to the Modern Children's Museum in New York City because he invented a thing called a wish radio that lets him hear the wishes of children. And one of the biggest wishes he heard over and over again was kids wish they could have met dinosaurs. And then hijinks happen. That's the non-spoiler premise. However, there's also a dark twist at the end, kind of. Well, not really a twist. You know exactly that it's coming because they warn you about it in the first 5 minutes of the movie. But it's cool. There's a circus that I would totally go to. Not any further ado, let's just talk about it. So like usual, I'm about to go full spoilers. Full spoilers ahead. You have been warned. Ready? Have you cleared out yet? Okay, here. So we start out with a tiny little birdie named Buster, who is the youngest of a whole bunch of birdies, and the bigger birdies are picking on him, and the dad's like, okay, fight for your food, and he's like, you know what, I've had enough of this, I'm done. And his mom, who is voiced by Rhea Perlman, who's barely in this, is like all being all cute and like, oh, my baby, blah, 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 and he's just like, Mom, you're making me like unmanly. Whatever. And he's like, that's it, I'm running away to the circus. And he immediately falls to the ground. Basically, he cannot fly yet, and lands on a golf ball that is being used by a Tyrannosaurus Rex named Rex, voiced by John Goodman. And so before, he's about to whack this birdie on the ball, he's like, oh, what's going on? And the birdie's like, I'm done. I'm leaving. I'm running away and joining the circus. And he goes, I know someone who once ran away and joined the circus. Let's talk about him. And we go into flashback mode where we see where Rex was a straight up T-Rex. He was violent. He was scary. He was monster fuel for sure. And you see him basically going hunting for a meal and stuff in prehistoric times. And then you see this little alien dude who, it's funny that he's working for a guy that made a smart cereal because he looks like the mascot for a cereal franchise for sure. But it's voiced by Jay Leno, but it's this high squeaky voice, so you would never know it was Jay Leno. And he basically lures Mean Rex, to this spaceship, which looks very steampunk. It's very Atlantis, but flying. And basically this machine holds Rex still while it forces all of this cereal down his throat because it makes you smart. Yeah. So now Rex is turning, like, even his like features and everything, he turns more cartoony and more adorable, like more Barney almost, except orange. And it's just like, oh, like I've done a lot of bad things. I've you know, like is immediately having like remorse for being a dinosaur and being a carnivore. And he gets introduced to the other dinosaurs that have been educated. So you have Elsa, who is a pterodactyl, who is voiced by Felicity Kendall, who I don't really know, unfortunately. You have Woog, who is a triceratops and is voiced by Renee Lavant, who again, don't really know. And then you have Dweeb, voiced by Charles Flesher, who is a ducky. I was going to look up the actual name, but in all honesty, I probably wouldn't have even been able to pronounce it. We have a Ducky, a Petrie, and a Sarah, and a Chompers. That is what we have. There's no Littlefoot. There's no Spike, but we have Petrie, Ducky, Chompers, and Sarah. That is how I will always name my dinosaurs. Sorry, not sorry. I could be in the Field Museum and be like, oh, it's a Petrie. Like, that's just what's going to happen. But Elsa and Rex immediately have like this cute little thing for each other, and it's reminding me very much of like Godzilla and Mothra, which has a very special place in my heart. So it's like, aw. And then we meet Captain New Eyes, who is the inventor who made a fortune making brain grain, cereal. And with that, he decided to also invent time travel and the Wish Radio, which, like I said before, it hears all the wishes of children throughout the world, and a lot of them just want to meet dinosaurs, which is why he went and is doing all this. And he made a plan with Dr. Julia Bleeb, voiced by Julia Child, at the Children's Museum in New York. And they're going to have this whole interactive exhibit with them, and that's what they're doing. And he also warns them that his brother is also somewhere in New York, Professor Screw Eyes, who, villain backstory, not super important. He's crazy. He's a bad guy. Watch out for him. He's definitely coming later. But Rex is fully on board when he sees the wish bubble of a little boy who just looks so sad and says he just wants a friend. And so then the dinosaurs are literally like time blasted forward and thrown out of the ship into the bay, whatever, ocean, water around Manhattan, and land immediately on a raft where that same little boy who had just made the wish has a raft. He has tunes. He's got a cool breakfast machine, but he's clearly kind of living on this raft out, in the middle of the water. And all the dinosaurs just landed on it anyway. So his home, whatever, is kind of gone. But this is Louie, who wants to run away to the circus. So the one Rex was talking about earlier, to the bird. Anyway, also the bird and Louie have like similar hairstyles too, and like kind of similar voices. So it's very much like, okay, that's a direct parallel. But yeah, so then Louie's like, well, I want to go join the circus in Central Park. You guys are trying to get to the Children's Museum. We might as well travel together, because I'll keep you incognito and you'll keep me safe as a child in New York. And so they agree to go together. But then Rex falls in the water and cannot swim, even though he's smart now. That was not something he learned. It's the tiny arms. And Louie actually ends up learning how to operate a crane and gets Rex out of the water, and immediately there is a bromance friendship bond that is going on here. Because when Louie fishes Rex out of the water, Rex is just like, I remember you now. Even though it literally only happened like maybe in movie an hour ago, in us watching the movie 35 seconds ago. So then Louie's kind of talking some smack to Elsa because he keeps calling her a bat. And she's just like, all right, like, let's go for a ride. And so she like takes him on this crazy death-defying ride through like flying around New York City, and some very clear early computer generated images because, Beauty and the Beast and Aladdin had just done all of that, and they got the next version, I guess, of that. So definitely not nearly as good of imagery as in Aladdin or Beauty and the Beast, but it's a time capsule. And they end up catching this hat that went flying, and then they find the little girl like in the penthouse apartment that the hat belonged to, named Cecilia, who is a unhappy little girl who her parents are like business people and socialites and never seem to have time for her and leave her alone all the time. So she wants to also run away and join the circus as soon as Louis says that's what he's doing, and insta crush. Also, Elsa is immediately like the way Rex and Louis are, is immediately like bonding with Cecilia. Like, no, this is mine. I'm going to protect her. Also, just the whole dynamic between her and Louis. If you've ever seen the Santa Claus, not the Tim Allen one, but the one with like the Big Lebowski that's super like from the 80s or whatever, very much like those two little kids dynamic. If you haven't seen it and don't know what I'm talking about, we'll talk this Christmas. Also, Cecilia is voiced by Yeardsley Smith, who is a grown-ass woman at this point in life. She voiced a whole bunch of like little girls in cartoons back in the day. If you want to see her in any live action stuff, she was in City Slickers. She was the one that the guy from Home Alone had gotten pregnant at the beginning of the movie. Moving on. And then so the dinosaurs and the kids, because Cecilia is totally with them now, end up in this parade. Because it's Thanksgiving. That's right. It's a Thanksgiving Day parade. I keep forgetting that part. So they just kind of blend in and are basically like giving free publicity to the upcoming dinosaur exhibit. Meanwhile, they're supposed to be headed to the museum, and Dr. Julia Child, I know that's not her name, but it's Dr. Julia and it's Julia Child. She is blind as a bat, basically. Like her glasses are like so thick. So she keeps going past the dinosaurs and just keeps missing them as she's putting up posters for the new exhibit. And it's really kind of funny, but you know, it's super 90s. And so they all end up in the parade, and like all the little kids are absolutely loving it, and the parents just think they're animatronic. And you know, they end up singing Roll Back the Rock, which, you know, John Goodman singing any kind of retro rock, I'm still here for it. But then when the parents find out that the dinosaurs are not animatronic and are in fact real, panic spreads. The kids are still totally down, but the parents are like freaking out, and the police try to arrest the dinosaurs. So they all freak out, and then the dinosaurs get separated from the kids. The kids are like, yeah, we're going to head ahead to Central Park to go join the circus, meet us up there, and then we'll get you to the museum or whatever from there. And just a whole hijinks scene happens that takes up a whole bunch of time of just like, I will point out the one thing too with this movie that actually was pointed out to me last night. The dinosaur's size tends to change, and we're just supposed to be good with it a lot. Like at one point the T-Rex is like the size of like half a skyscraper, and then the next he's able to like fit on the back of a truck. Or, you know, some of the other dinosaurs are like gigantic, but they're on a motorcycle. So that does, the proportions do change. And we, you know, when I was a kid, I just went with it. I never would have thought about it until literally last night. But anyway, and after the hijinks scene is done, then we find out that the circus that the kids are trying to run away to and have gotten ahead to is run by Professor Screw Eyes, the evil brother of Captain New Eyes. And the dinosaurs immediately feel like they have to go save them. Fast forward to the kids at the circus. This is my kind of circus. It is so cool. And they actually talk a lot of smack about the people that want to go to the circus. It's a scary circus. That's the whole point. It's kind of like a Cirque du Freak kind of like scary circus experience that I would totally eat up. And as an ex, you know, haunted house actress, obviously that's my deal. But like the kids and the dinosaurs, and even the lovable side character that we're going to meet any second now, called Stubbs the Clown, voiced by, of course, Martin Short, all think there's something wrong with those people that want to go and check it out. And they even show like this like alternative crowd too. Like there's a guy with like the spiky mohawk, and, you know, a girl with like a tank, and they're all wearing leather and studs. And I'm like, yeah, my people. And they're like, there's something wrong with them. Ow. Thanks, guys. Thanks. I was 2 when this came out. This definitely didn't, make me want to hide some stuff about myself for a minute. But moving on. But the kids end up meeting Professor Screw Eyes, voiced by Kenneth Mars, who I'm literally finding out less than 10 seconds ago was Professor Kemp in Young Frankenstein, so the guy with like the wooden arm and everything. But also finding out he was the voice of King Triton in the original Little Mermaid, and I just found out those two were the same person. Literally, this is my reaction in real time. So cool. I'll process this later, I guess. But at first the professor's actually like trying to like scare them off. Like, yeah, no, you don't want any part of this, kids. This is not your kind of circus. And they're just like, no, like it is. And he's like, well, okay, here's the contract. And it's this blank scroll of paper. Oh my God. And it's very, very like the scroll contract in Little Mermaid. And I'm going to think about this again later. This came out like 4 years after Little Mermaid? Whatever. And they're just like, oh, like that's a blank contract. And he's like, yeah, we keep things simple here. So Louis goes to sign, and Professor Screw Eyes pricks him with the pen and makes him sign in his own blood, which then makes all of the writing appear on the scroll. And Cecilia still has a chance to get out of it, but she's not about to leave Louis alone. So she ends up doing the exact same thing, and now they are owned mind, body, soul by the bad guy. So of course this is when the dinosaurs show up to try and warn them. Like half a heartbeat later. And this is when Professor Screw Eyes shows the dinosaurs that he also has a version of the radio. But of course it's the opposite. It is the fright radio. So this is where he learns what basically a whole bunch of people are scared of. And one of the predominant things that they're scared of are monsters. So he basically says he has this thing called brain drain, which again is the opposite of his brother's work. And this one's in pill form, go figure. And it's just like, if you guys, you could agree to go back to being your former selves and be chained up all the time and scare people for my circus. And they're all just like, why would we do that? We're going to go to the museum. And he goes, well, because on top of owning all of their future ideas, I also own your children's willpower. And he gives each of them a half dose of the brain drain, and they immediately turn into monkeys. So the dinosaurs are just instantly deflated by all of this and are just like, yeah, like tear up their contracts, set the kids free, and we'll do whatever. And this is actually, it is kind of a really sad scene too, because like Rex says goodbye to Louis while like Louis like passed out in monkey form, slowly turning back into himself. And he's just telling him like, for a second, we were friends. And just like, okay, all right, we're good. We're okay. And then he gives all of them their own version of brain drain, which takes significantly less than the cereal took to educate them. It takes a lot less to de-educate them. And he ends up having them chained up and everything. And the kids wake up the next morning, and this is where we actually get to talk to Stubbs the clown, because he brings them breakfast and is all like, yep, well, I'm going to give you these pancakes, but then you need to get out of here. And they're like, wait, we're not leaving without our dinosaur friends. Like, what are you even talking about? And he's and Stubbs all just like, yeah, they're not who you think they are. You don't want to see them like this. And so of course Louis is very stubborn, and it's all just like, yeah, I do. And so Stubbs, who is adorable by the way, and his whole deal is he wants to be a circus clown, but he's in the wrong circus for that. But he also works for Professor Screw Eyes and is under a deal with him that if he ever makes an act that can make the professor laugh, he'll be able to do it in the circus. However, Professor Screw Eyes never laughs. Insert Muppets joke here.
Maniacal laugh. Maniacal laugh.
So, but then, yeah, Stubbs ends up taking the kids to see the dinosaurs, who are absolute scary monsters. They don't even look like themselves anymore. They look like they did at the beginning, and it's more documentary style and very scary. And they instantly have all of the guilt because they know that they did that to save them. And so they make up a deal with Stubbs basically to like find a way to save the dinosaurs that night at the circus. And Stubbs agrees, not because of like, doing the right thing or the kids. He's just grateful that they laughed at his jokes, which is so sad. So that night they are disguised as the circus workers that are kind of like demons and everything. And they're hardcore judging, again, the people that are supposed to be going to the circus. And he's like, what's wrong with them? Why would they want to be scared? Because it's fun. And again, like people are, kind of dressed looking like me and are like the kids and Stubbs are just talking so much smack. And I'm like, yo, there are different things, guys. Like you can like different things. It's okay. Also, this is Universal, pre Katzenberg starting DreamWorks, so we can like it. But just throwing that one out there as well. But honestly, I would watch the shit out of this circus. It is so great. They've got demons, they've got ghosts, they've got a crazy light show, and it's just super creepy. And then they have live dinosaurs in chains. And so Professor Screw Eyes uses his screw eye because he actually has a screw for an eye and he can use it to hypnotize people. So he uses it to hypnotize Rex, who is still in scary form. But he hypnotizes him to the point where he's confident enough to let people take the shackles off of him. However, once he's all like, yes, I have control over fear itself, basically, a crow, who you think up to this point is like on the side of Professor Screw Eyes, because there's a lot of crows around the circus, is apparently not, because he ends up in the control booth and sets off the flares. And all of the flares and everything break the hypnotism on Rex. And now you have a loose, feral T-Rex who immediately scoops up Professor Screw Eyes and is about to chomp in front of all these screaming people. Another funny thing about the circus too is instead of like a guy walking through selling popcorn, he's selling smelling salts, which cracks me up. And then this is when Louie breaks out, and this is where it gets cheesy as hell. Not gonna lie, it is super cheesy, but also kind of hits me in the feels a little bit. Like, Louis comes up and he's trying to talk Rex out of doing something he would regret, basically. He's trying to talk him out of being the monster that's going to eat the bad guy. But the way, like, the words he's using are really, really cheesy. But it's this kid that's clearly been let down by a lot of people before. If it's anything like the birdie, he's been bullied a lot before. And he does not want Rex to be another person that lets him down, another bully in his life. Like, not Rex. And so that part kind of... But yeah, he saves him with the power of love. Because that is apparently how the whole brain drain thing works. I don't know, guys. I don't know. It's a 93 cartoon and whatever. It is what it is. So all the dinosaurs are back to normal. All of them have been saved by the power of love. Cecilia jumped in and helped Elsa and blah, blah, blah. And then right at that moment, you have Captain New Eyes shows up with the alien named Vorb, by the way. I didn't say that earlier. Jay Leno's character's name is Vorb. They did a lot of really easy naming here, guys. But anyway, they show up right then, and nothing happens from any of them to Professor Screw Eyes. It's just like the brother just like, I should have known you were behind this, you and your wicked ways, and just kind of has like a talking down to him, basically. And that's it. He gets chastised by his big brother. I don't know. But as everyone leaves, and I want to point out too, the people in the circus, like the scenes around them keep going between there's people there and then everyone had run away, but there's people there. Like that part's inconsistent. But when everyone leaves, Professor Screw Eyes is all just like, wait, I'm scared of being alone. The crows could. And at that point, all of the crows descend on him and then leave because they have like devoured him. And all you have is the screw eye at the bottom. And one of the ravens comes and takes that away too. So I'm watching this last night and just like, just go with it. I love it. Honestly, all of the creepy vibes, the circus, everything about Professor Screw Eyes, like the voice and everything, which now I know why, I guess. It's just great. I really, really do enjoy that. And definitely one of the more memorable parts of the movie for me, that plus the parade scene. But then the dinosaurs end up at the museum where they're supposed to be. They have a very successful like launch program where the parents come and take their kids, but then the parents leave, and then the dinosaurs get to actually interact with the kids because the kids know that they're not animatronics like the parents think. And yep, Louis and Cecilia end up going back home and making up with their parents. Cecilia's parents pay attention to her now that she's run away, I guess. And Louis is just like, you know, I guess his brothers were happy to have him back or something. And they're definitely dating now too, which I don't know how old these kids are, like 11, 12 maybe. And they have scenes of them like canoeing together in this like romantic park kind of thing. But yeah, and we go back to Rex on the roof of the museum where this golf course is, talking to Buster the birdie and basically talking him into going back to his mom because he's not running away anymore. And that was We're Back, A Dinosaur Story. It's cheesy, it's hokey, but it's fun. There's definitely a level of nostalgia in it for me, absolutely. But I've always enjoyed it. And honestly, it's short enough that it's not really going to waste a bunch of your day. Like, it's like an hour and 10 for just a trip down memory lane and, you know, fun voices, a fun time capsule of the early 90s, and a really cool circus. Honestly, like, that's going to be this month, is just me talking about these 80s, 90s cartoon gems that we kind of sort of forgot about, and every now and then are just like, oh yeah, that was a thing. I hope if you like this kind of thing that you keep tuning in this month. Check out my last video of Little Nemo Adventures in Slumberland, and next week, well, you'll find out what that one is. If you like this video, please like this video. If you like this kind of video, please subscribe to my channel. It would be such a huge help. Also, speaking of help, check me out on Patreon so I can kind of up the quality of these videos and the equipment that I'm working with. That would be so great. And yeah, thanks guys. Thanks for watching. I appreciate you. I've been Obscure Girl, and the rest is confetti.